special thank you to our sponsors, Mugs Coffee House in Lebanon, Oregon, and Seattle School of Chen in Seattle, Washington. For more information about Seattle School of Chen, spelled Taijai Chuan, go to seattlechentaijai.com. And for more information about Mugs Coffee House in Lebanon, Oregon, and their amazing coffee, go to mugslebanon.com.
And there it is. We are live. That's it. It is. I am the substitute host today. Russ he's doing the right thing. He is taking care of his wife this afternoon. He asked if I'd step in. He didn't know I was going to play my own video, but I did because I can. And so we are here. We're just gonna get going. So as you saw right here, we have got Annie Lee, Dr. Nupi, Arora, Baron Robison, Bob Feathers, Mark Kageyama, and we are talking about navigating fear versus opportunity. As we were in the green room beforehand, we said, what is it that we do? And well, we're going to share some great information because, as always, the most remarkable people in the world come right here on the screen. And we all get to take advantage of it. For those of you who weren't in the green room with us beforehand, you are missing out. You need to be here. So with that, let's start with Dr. Nupi. Let's give an overview and just give that intro, your heart about fear and opportunity, because that's what we're here to talk about today.
Okay. So I'm going to start this with a beautiful acronym that I absolutely love. FEAR is false evidence appearing real. And that is the crux of fear. Once you know that, and once you embrace that almost, you can move through it. So that's my startup. False evidence appearing real.
I love it. I love it. That's a great start. Mr. Bob Feathers.
I love that to start. When I just think about fear, one of the places I always start is always staying within yourself. Just being that kind of, just remaining. I don't want to use the word taking emotion out of it, but it's the idea that we're all emotional, but it's that idea of just trying to stay centered, trying to stay calm. And that's a real important part as things are kind of going around you. If you just kind of always have that calm nature, and there's times to be, I'm not saying we shouldn't be excited, right? There's lots of things to be doing and be emotional, but when you come from a place of calmness, I think that's a good place to start. That's a good place to help find that centeredness, for fear, to overcome those types of things.
Yeah, fabulous. Let's move over, Baron. Let's get your take here.
I think that people tend to fear what they don't know, and we get uncomfortable what we don't know. But the most exciting things in life are when we discover that area is uncomfortable. So I kind of have a phrase. I say you need to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And when you're comfortable being uncomfortable, then the fear goes away, because then you experience the great things in life, but they're in that area you don't know. And you got to go out there and find them.
Fabulous. Yes, I love that. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. So really cool. Mark, you are up.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to this because I lived it. And let me share how exactly I lived it. I for those who don't know my story, I was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate, bone, and lung cancer in early 2021. And so, when my oncologist told me when I got my diagnosis, she said to me, your cancer is so bad that I can't cure you. And so I said, okay. But at that point, I had gone through so many tests and so many invasive, like procedures and everything like that. I knew something was wrong. And so getting that diagnosis, it was actually a relief because I actually knew what I was dealing with, because up until that time, I knew something was bad, but I didn't know exactly what. So the fear came, she put a lot of fear when she said, I can't cure you. And so that really made me reflect and go deep inside. And so what I did was, I did so many things. I started, I utilized LinkedIn a lot. I was in my room for 3 months, wasn't able to walk, wasn't able to leave my room. And so I used LinkedIn to get in touch with the world. And so it was actually during COVID, in the major pottion of COVID when this happened. And so I was able to, I wasn't lonely at all because I had LinkedIn. I connected with people all over the world. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to connect with people who had been down that cancer road and who were doing it and who lived it. And I wasn't really interested in hearing a sales pitch. I wanted to hear from the people who actually did it. And after hearing that, I started getting more confidence because I started thinking to myself, these people have gone through it, and if they could do it, I could do it. And so that was my approach. And so I set my first goal was to be able to open my eyes on my birthday, which is in June. And when I did, that day, it was one of the greatest days of my life because I was able to open my eyes. And at that time, all my fear was replaced with opportunity because I knew I was going to live. Just knew it. And so it was such a turning point. And I'll share a little story that happened that day. My daughter was with me, and she stayed with me for 2.5 months, and she helped cook my food, and she was basically my caregiver. And so that afternoon of my birthday, she sat me down and she said, I want you to, open up your laptop and I want you to look at something. I said, what are you doing? And she's filming me. I'm like, what is happening here? And my 2 daughters, Lisa and Tani, they put together a video of family and friends wishing me a happy birthday. And that was just incredible, absolutely incredible. And one of our friends came on at the very end and she said, hey, I have, one of my friends that wants to wish you a happy birthday. And I'm thinking, what in the world is this? And to my great shock, the person who came on next was none other than Kevin Hart. And Kevin Hart wished me a happy birthday. And so I know all that was a long-winded answer, but that was, I lived it, and that was my experience.
So, so I'm gonna just let me just take the moment here. I'm gonna put this up because again, navigating fear versus opportunity. So here's the deal, and Annie, we'll give you a moment here too. Is I want to talk about what Mark experienced and how we experienced that in our lives, because when you go down the road and you see those little bumper stickers on the back of someone's car that says something like, let go and let God, you're like, that does not help when you're sitting in that, you're sitting across from the oncologist, and maybe hopefully you've got a family or friends there with you when you're having that conversations, but a bumper sticker with a platitude does not help at that moment. So fear versus opportunity. So Annie.
So my brain goes into a little bit deeper in navigating through fear, because where my brain goes to is fear to me is much more like our brains are designed to make it a conflict, right? So I like to sit far away from the situation to become an observer of that fear and dissect it. So my brain goes into, okay, I'm feeling this negative emotion, right? You're in that negative emotion of fear. What is it really? Because I like when Dr. Nupi said it's false evidence appearing real, because our brains are designed to protect us. So if that's all it is, then we can go and look at the circumstance. We can go back to the thought. We can address the feeling, which then creates the action, which then creates the result. So when I'm thinking about navigating through that fear, okay, so I know that it's not real. What am I attaching that feeling to? I'm in this negative emotion, but I get to choose how I'm sitting, how I'm standing in that negative emotion, that fear, right? And not allowing my brain to scenarize about, oh my gosh, what if this happens? Or, oh my gosh, this, right? Once you're able to sit in that observer position, you're able to free yourself from that emotion. You're able to go back and change the thought, which then changes your feeling around it. Which then, again, changes your actions, whether you're responding to it versus reacting. And then you can change your results, right? Which then leads to that opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. Oh,
Scott, you're on mute.
Scott, you're on mute.
There we go. Yeah, I want to continue with that. I'm going to go to Baron next, but this comment that you make, Annie, versus the react and respond, right?
Yep.
So when we react, that's the emotional, right? That's the quick. That's the emotional. That's when we blurt something out.
Yep.
When we respond, right? This is the me under control, using my intellect. And maybe we can talk about this as emotional intelligence, right? Emotional intelligence is understanding and controlling your own emotions, but also understanding and being able to affect the emotions of others. And so from the kicking cancer perspective, because I want to follow up with Mark on that, but Baron, I want to give you the opportunity to talk about this as well.
Well, I want to share an example, and it kind of falls along a little bit with what Mark said. But for those that have seen me on any of Russ's other stuff, Kicking Cancer is an organization here in Oregon that has really spread globally, which is kind of cool. But my sister was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. That was in November of 2015, and that was kind of the inspiration for this organization. And I knew in my head, it's metastatic, which means it's not a matter of if it comes back, it's a matter of when it comes back, right? Metastatic cancer, the odds of it not coming back are so small. Cancer is going to come back if it's metastatic. Well, she found out a few months ago that it had come back. And a couple weeks ago, she had to go back in and it come back where it started. So it came back in her breast, and she had to have another surgery. And I think this is your point, Scott, is after the surgery, emotionally, she was just really sad. She was just really frustrated that after 6-7 years of work that this darn cancer had come back. And because it was breast cancer, it also meant there was a surgery involved. And all of a sudden, she just doesn't look the same because they had to take the breast again. And she was sad for a couple of days. but you can't stay sad. See, that's the point. It's okay to be emotionally sad. You just can't stay there. And so after about 3 or 4 days, she lives in Arizona, and she goes out to the sunshine because those vitamin D rays are really important. And she goes for a walk because that keeps the lymphatic system moving. And she's back to going, I'm me. I'm me. And it's okay to be sad. Just don't stay there.
Yes.
And she has this phrase that we use a lot if you get cancer. She says, I'm not afraid to die. I just don't want it to be my fault. And if you know what you can do to prevent whatever, then do that. You can't control the car that's going to hit you when you step out in the street. You can't control the drunk driver that comes out. You can't control those things. And if you live your life in fear of the things you can't control, but control the things you can control.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Bob, will come over to you, and then we'll go to Dr. Nupi because she's like straining at the microphone. We're going to give but Bob first.
You know me so well, Scott. Seriously, obviously.
That's what this is the thing I love about video conferences. Now, some of the platforms like Clubhouse and stuff, the audio ones, I mean, that's great. But watching Dr. Nupi here at home, this is like, this is the beauty of video.
Yeah, and I'm really expressive as well. I'm like, yeah, and acting it all out. I actually private message going, you would so win charades. Seriously. I mean, I think I would. Sorry. Bob, take it away. Sorry.
Bob.
Yeah, so I want to keep pulling on it a little bit. There's like these threads, right? And kind of these thoughts. And that's that coming back to the calm, but then it's that control piece again. And this is an important, I learned this a long time ago when I was young as a manager and working with a mentor of mine. And it was that whole idea. He said, can you control that person's emotions? Can you control that? Can you? And, the answer was always resounding no, right? It was always a resounding no. So you always had to turn back to yourself. And you always had to keep finding that space within yourself and it was, excuse me, it's a learning thing too. I think that's one of the things we find, right? Too, some of these are just you have to live through some of these experiences and then learn from them and try to get better at them. But try to find those spaces, again, where you kind of you know where to go, right? You kind of go, okay, I see what's happening now, but I know how to cope with this, and I'll start here. And then the other point is that inflection point we're talking about is since you can't control that person, but you can control how you speak to them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so it's that whole kind of, so it back to Annie's piece of, it's how you respond. It's again, it's like, and trying to, even if you can just wait that millisecond where you want to be like, and just be like, and then you go, oh, and then what you do is start to learn little scripts, right? And then start to learn things. Why would you say that? Or I'm not sure I understand, just trying to then also find, you can build little scripts for yourself and practice them a little bit to make sure you have those scripts of conversation, those you're kind of ready, right? You start to build up your little quiver of tools and you're like, oh, I'm in this situation. And then you go like, okay, I need to do this. And so you start to kind of build up that tool set in your mind, and then you start to practice it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a couple of things there I wanted to, like yourself, just bring back. I think the first crucial thing is being aware, actually, because we're talking at the minute of how to change that thought process, but let's just take it back a little bit and remember some key things. Fear is a normal response. It's it's conditioned response to alert us to threat, to alert us to danger. And that is our pre-programmed, our lizard brain, the amygdala response. There is a biochemical neurochemistry behind this, which affects us physically and emotionally. So knowing that this is very real, the physical impact of fear can cause stomach upset, your heart to race, all the things that prepare you for the fight flight. Now, in terms of how do I navigate this, it's remembering, okay, it's a thought or a feeling and it will pass. Notice what that thought or feeling is. What is it I'm feeling in my body? What is it? What's the thought perhaps that's going on in my head? So it's notice, name, takes the power away when you name it, and reframing that whole little bit. So it's challenging gently. What story am I believing here? Where is the evidence that this is actually going to happen? Or am I running away with myself, being swept away in this tidal wave into the future, which I can't predict? Or am I being sucked back into the rabbit holes of rumination? I love these phrases. I've made them up myself. Where you get stuck in regret and remorse. And it's remembering you can only do what you can in the here and the now. Your thoughts don't define you, and you get to choose. And that, to me, is just fundamental. And this is what I spend a lot of time, especially through my F list, which is equivalent to fuck off, focus and breathe, and flip. Notice, name, reframe. And not to be rude, the fuck off is all about, well, it actually stops that whole negative narrative, and it just brings you back to the here and the now and reminds you, okay, really, I just need to check in with myself just right now, because I've noticed those feelings. I've noticed that thought. That's fear. Doesn't have to define me. F it off. Yeah. Focus on the breathing. It keeps you in that respond mode, and then you flip it by challenging that narrative. So first 3 F's of my F list demonstrated.
And you have part of it right there. Thank you to
thank you.
Tim.
Focus
Thank you to Tim Sohn for summarizing that.
Tim, it's flip. Just saying.
All right. Hey, we'll come over to Annie in a moment. And one of the things that I was thinking about, you were talking about when you name it, right? The unknown is the most frightening. Yes. And I will say part of our human psyche is that speculation is more fun, right? Yeah. We want to just, when we don't know the facts, we're just like this. We see it in office politics all the time, right? Speculation about this or that. And then when you find out the truth, you're like, oh, that's just whatever.
Moving on.
But name it. That is so cool. Annie, you are up.
Oh,
and then we're gonna move into opportunities. We've talked about the fear, but let's and then we'll come over to Mark after Annie, and we'll talk about where are those opportunities.
So I couldn't agree more with Dr. Nupi. I just freaking love you, woman. Like, but it really is. It's just that simple when you are bringing that self-awareness to that thought. Like, but it's the idea, because we're programmed, right? We're hear it all the time, so we allow that fear to come back in. We get to choose the thoughts we entertain and the thoughts we release. If it's not serving you, pause in that moment. Like I always bring up to my clients, I'm like, look, you're in the middle of a hurricane. You have all of this stuff going around you, but you get to choose to be the heart and the stillness inside of that hurricane, because there's a spot inside of that hurricane that's you. You get to be in that center and take that time and take that moment and say, okay, is this in my control? Is this out of my control? Right? Mm-hmm. We don't get to worry about what's going on with the hurricane because it's going to do what it does, right? We're in this moment. We're checking ourselves. We're bringing that awareness back in. Because we don't need to seek approval outward. We seek it inward. We know all the answers, right? Mm-hmm. So Dr. Nupi was talking about that. I was like, oh my gosh, I love you.
And this is part of the problem with the modern world and all this connectivity. It's good and bad, right? Every strength to an excess becomes a weakness. And so
but it's how you are choosing to view it. It's your perspective.
Yes,
perspective.
Exactly.
Yes.
So a lot of us have concern for Turkey, right?
Yeah.
Right. So this is just human tragedy on an immense scale. Mm-hmm. And we see these images and we hear the stories and our hearts go out to them. But I can't take that burden on. Right. Yeah. I can't take that. I can have compassion for them, but I can't take on the burden of 20,000 people, 20,000
Send them
lives.
light.
Right.
Send them light.
Send them light. I was just about to say,
I know.
Right.
you can,
wavelength.
the power of human connection and sending that thought, sending that love, sending that energy.
Yeah.
Oh, that can
And
do so much. It can.
And Mark, I love the story that you told about and opening the laptop, right? Because this is something that somebody could do for you. There is a tangible action that can make a difference. And so I will just say someone took an opportunity to make a difference. And it has impacted, that story has impacted so many people because you have told it here on Russ Reels Live. But let's go back into, let's talk about more of the where when these fears happen to us, how does it open the door, and how do we take advantage of those and allow us to set this fear aside and move forward into positivity? Mark?
I think it's easiest for me to share my story in relationship to answering this question. To me, fear is a lack of education about whatever you're dealing with at that particular time. You know, if you go down a dark alley, you're scared because you don't know if somebody's there, what's at the end of the dark alley. And so fear is something that we can't allow it to consume our thoughts. Respect the fear, but there are things that we need to do as people. Hey, Russ, nice to see you. There's things that we can do as people to alleviate that, and I feel what's most important is alleviating it by education, educating ourselves as to what's at the end of that alley, what's in front of us, as much as we can. And so fear can be replaced by education. And so what I did in my case was I did not have all the answers, but I was searching for them every single day. Every single, I realized at that point that every day was a blessing. Every day that I opened my eyes was a new opportunity, because anytime that you can open your eyes and experience a new day, that's the greatest thing that we can have happen as people, you know, because we cannot fight the fight from 6 feet under. It's just not happening, you know. So if we realize that and make the most, absolute most out of every single day, then, you know, our lives become so much fuller and so much more wonderful, to be honest with you. I mean, I didn't know when I started my journey that a lot of the things, how they would play out. For those of you who don't know, early in 2021, when I was really sick, I was very, very sick, and I weighed 123 pounds. And I just talked to somebody today that saw one of my videos and said, "Oh my gosh," they had seen me when I was really sick. And they said, "You don't even look like the same person." And I said, "Thank you." But during that particular time, I wanted to share my journey and also inspire people to realize that how incredible their lives are, and not to waste it. So many people, you know, live their life. Oh, it's Monday. Oh, I can't wait till Friday. And so you're trying to skip over a whole week that you could be doing so much because you don't like Monday, or you don't like it the rest of the week, which doesn't make any sense. Our lives are so short. We have to make the most out of every single day, every single hour, every single minute. So what I did was I started my YouTube channel, which is called To Be Your Own Hero.
Mm-hmm.
And what I wanted to do, the reason I wanted to start it in the first place, I wanted to help one person. You know, I said to myself, hey, if I could help one person, it's all worth it. And so what I did was I would chronicle my cancer journey, but I'll also look more importantly to inspire people to appreciate their health, appreciate their life, because if you do not have your health, I mean, you hear it all the time. If you have your health, you have everything.
Yeah.
But when you actually do not have your health, then you realize, wow, that is the truest statement on earth. When you have your health, you have your life. And so I started my YouTube channel in early 2021. I post one video a week, and you know, it's just come back in so many incredible ways. I mean, I never dreamed what it would be, and I never dreamed that the person that it would help the most would be me.
Wow.
Oh,
So we're going to go to so
beautiful.
the substitute host, the real host, came in here. So we're going to give Russ a moment here, and then we'll run over to Baron. But I just want to say there was for those of you who are movies, and we're a movie family, so we watch these movies. Men in Black, the original Men in Black, and there's a moment where Tommy Lee Jones is watching the satellite photo of the woman that he would have married, right?
Yeah.
And the comment comes in, you know, they find out that, yeah, she was the woman he would have married, but you know, it didn't. And so what's the comment? This is like, well, better to have loved and lost than never have to love at all, right?
Yes.
Again, it's that momentary platitude. And Tommy Lee Jones, the writers had the best response in that, because he just looked at him. He said, you know, try it, right? Because when it's one thing when it's someone else's life, but when it's yours or someone that you know, it makes all the difference. And so, Russ, welcome to your show.
Hey, everybody. So I'm only going to be on here for a very short time because, first of all, I have no voice,
Oh my
so
God,
I can't
you
really.
should not be
But
talking.
second of all, I just had a few minutes to pop in, and I wanted to say, Mark, you're a huge inspiration to me. I think coming out of journeys where there's a lot of fear involved, and in life we all have that, but when you're got a cancer diagnosis and you know you have all these things that surround you, but then looking at it with what are the opportunities God has given me to actually do some amazing things and encourage people and inspire people in spite of what's going on, live our life every day of our life. People like Baron, who with Kicking Cancer, who inspires people as they're going through this journey. Not everybody's going through a cancer journey, but a lot of people are going through other fears and other struggles in life. Being able to utilize those things and inspire other people is an amazing gift. It's an amazing gift. And when I've watched other people, when I first met Mark and I watched all that he had gone through, way worse than me, and what he was doing with his life, his YouTube channel, his platform, it just inspired and encouraged me beyond belief. So you guys know my word for 2023 is opportunity. And I think that in life every day, we have amazing opportunities through everything we're going through. Our circumstances do not define us.
Yes.
What's going on, what other people say does not define us. We were talking the other day about people shooting on you. And when people are saying you should do this and you should do that, other people don't dictate your life. You should sit down, Mark, and just give up, right? Forget that. Mark's going to live his life. Mark's going to inspire people. Mark's going to get out there and do positive things. You know, I know Baron right now I'm sure he's going to talk more here, but you know, his sister's going through a situation again as well, and all the people that he supports, and those people are doing something with their life. They're not sitting down just waiting for things to take care of them. They're taking care of life and doing something positive. So I just wanted to say I love all you guys. Sorry I can't be here for the whole show today, but taking care of my beautiful wife today.
Yes. Go and rest your voice and do some saltwater gargles and some honey and some lemon and steam. Off you go.
Yes. I've been doing that.
That's what Russ, your voice doesn't want to make me go gargle. So
going for some more tea, honey, and lemon. See ya.
Do it.
Bye, Russ.
Love you. Bye.
All right.
Oh,
Great to have the man here.
so many good points.
Baron.
I'm like, sorry.
Baron, you're up, and then we'll go over to
Russ said
Annie.
something a minute ago, and it's a young man here in the Salem-Kaiser area that really inspired me a number of years ago. And Russ was like, your situation in life does not define you. And you guys can find this guy on YouTube. His name is Casey McAllister. When he was 8 years old, he was run over by a semi-truck and lost both his legs at 8 years old. And he just wasn't going to let that define him. He went on to do a lot of very interesting athletic things. He was actually a state wrestling champion. But when I started kicking cancer, my sister and I wanted to do this little thing called the Warrior Dash, the trail run with some obstacles. It sounded interesting. And Casey joined us. With no legs, he joins us to do this thing. And then he said, hey, I do these Spartan races. And if you've never seen a Spartan race, it is a trail run with a lot harder obstacles. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm 55 years old and I've got 2 legs. So why don't I just try what Casey does? And I'll tell you, they're not easy. They're not easy at all. But Casey had a phrase that inspired me, and it kind of goes with your topic here, Sky of Opportunity. So Casey says, it's only impossible because I haven't done it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it again. It's only impossible because I haven't done it yet. So once you do it, it's not impossible anymore. And here's this guy, 36 years old, no legs. He has done a 24-hour Spartan race in November in Iceland.
Wow.
And I'm sitting here at 55 years old going, well, what's my excuse? Like what's my excuse not to try? And so I did. I took on the 3 mile, and then I took on the 6 mile, and then I took on the 13-mile course. And it wasn't easy, And I remember the one I finished right after Casey. He crossed, and then I crossed. And I looked at him and I said, he says, how you feel? I said, Casey, I'm 55 years old. I'm like, I'm sore, and I finished last. And he said, no, you didn't. There was 100 people younger than you that dropped out. They just couldn't, they dropped out. And so you look for opportunities, and you don't just go, hey, this is what life gave me. Well, Casey could easily just apply for disability. But he goes, why would I? I'm not disabled. Why would I apply for disability? And so opportunity is what you make. Opportunity is what you make, and it's only impossible because you haven't done it yet.
Love that.
Love that.
Fantastic,
that's
Baron.
Fabulous.
And
I always tell people, I did a 3K because they're off doing these races and 26 miles and all this stuff, and they got the little bumper sticker. I did a 3K. Yeah. And I tell them proudly, it took me 2.5 hours to do my 2K. It was a Spartan race. So I go, I kind of had an excuse there. But these stories are so inspiring, and it reminds me in the 1968 Olympics, John Stephen Okoye was the marathon runner from Tanzania. He finished last. And in fact, he finished about 2 hours behind the leaders who came across. So he is qualified to run the Olympic marathon. He should not have been 2 hours behind, but he was injured. And if you watch the film, his legs are wrapped. He's hobbling, he's hopping, he's trying to get in, and he crosses the finish line. And the story, the narrative that goes with it, that says this, his story tells us more about the human spirit because they said this is not just people playing at games, right? They said, it goes, the best way to explain this is in the athlete's own words. And he said, my country sent me 3,000 miles, not to start a race, but to finish it.
Yeah.
That's
Annie,
awesome.
you're up.
Brilliant.
Oh my gosh, that's so brilliant. It really is, because it is what we tell ourselves. It's that scenario that we put in our head. Like when Maren, when you were talking, I was like thinking in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, like we're still trying to do things. We're still moving forward. But how often are we robbing ourselves of the opportunity to go past that, to be better, right? So when that fear comes in, when you're navigating through that, just know that the opportunity is on the other side of that door. Let's open it, right? If you can pivot in and out of that as quickly as possible and shift into that opportunity, don't rob yourself of that. I love how he said, like, you know, it's not impossible. I haven't done it yet. That's really what I view things as too, is like, yeah, I had this beautiful opportunity. Guess what? I know it's coming. I know that fear is coming, because we all have that little story, that little voice inside of our head, right? Mine's Hermie, and I shush it all the time. I'm like, you're not a part of this. This is just me, right? When we make those powerful decisions to shush the fear, and we get these beautiful opportunities, these beautiful doors that get open for us. So I love this topic. I could talk about this for days.
It was the when the team of SpaceX took that booster rocket, and instead of just discarding it and let it land in the ocean and sink and rot down there, it actually landed upright all by itself, right? It just came and it landed. That is, by the way, impossible to do until they did it. So Baron, I love that. Bob, Bob, you're up. Let's
I'm up. Okay.
I want to hear what's inside your brain, by the way.
Do you really?
I'm
Careful what you
literally
ask for. Careful what you ask for.
I am not afraid. I find as an opportunity.
Yeah, you know, so there's a couple different threads. Like, you know, Baron's touched on it, Annie's touched on it. There's just different themes going on. There's one component of, right, this, you can visualize the end, right? You know, kind of having that visualization of the end, like, of just being positive, right? So not trying to, but I would say what Baron said is, like, one of the things is not to build the expectation of what you want it to be, right? And I think that's what it's, so again, it's going back to this kind of like living in the present, like, okay, I'm here now, I'm responding, and now I'm going to do the best I can do. I'm going to move forward to this thing, and I'm going to get to something, an opportunity. I don't know exactly what it looks like. I know it's, and when I get there, there'll be a good outcome, or like, but not trying to like say, I want it to be this outcome, right? So it's a little bit that surprise. It's trying to like let it come to you, and at the end, be surprised. And I'll use a different, you know, not cancer story, but just the idea of sometimes you build an expectation of what you want something to be like so much in your mind, and if it doesn't quite happen exactly the way you wanted it, right, you're disappointed. So again, it's like visualize the positive, but at the same time, allow it to come to you, and then be, in a way, have that surprise of when it comes to you, what it brings. What, I don't know where exactly this is going to go. I'm going to start this journey, and I hope to kind of get here, and I hope it brings me here, but whatever comes out of it, hopefully will be good. And if it's bad, I can learn from it, right? I can take it back, put it in my tool belt and go, okay, you know, whatever I was doing there didn't seem to quite work. So yeah, again, I think going back, it was like living in the present, not trying to, you know, put ourselves in a spot saying, I want it to be exactly like this, like, and then being disappointed by that kind of thing. Just let it happen. Let those opportunities come to you. And then be surprised. Be surprised. In some ways, let them be. Let yourself be surprised by what you get to. Like finishing a race when you go, like, I finished last. Yeah, but 100 other people didn't finish. And you're like, oh, that's pretty good. Like, wow, all right, that's pretty good. Or even, like, I love your story about the Olympics. Like, they didn't send me to start the race. They sent me to finish the race. Doesn't matter but I finished. Pretty good.
Yeah. See, I'm glad I climbed inside your brain. It's a fascinating place.
Wow, I didn't know you
Now
had
get out.
that
Now
for
get
you.
out.
and so let's try this. My voice drops the lava bombs instead of glitter bombs, but let's get some
I
glitter
love that.
bombs.
Yes.
Doctor.
Can I?
You are
Is
up.
it my turn
You
now?
are up. It is your turn.
I got the talking stick.
I'm like literally going, oh my goodness me, I can't wait to share. Sorry, I've just been inspired by everybody. Okay, so I've got 2 more little acronyms, and then I want to just, before I give those other acronyms, is say the human spirit. We're looking at opportunity. So we're moving from fear, and we're going to create something because we have the power to do that. And fear itself, as I said before, it's the story you're telling yourself. It's what you're choosing to believe. And when you learn that that's your shadow self and it's a part of you, it doesn't have to embrace you. You can use it almost like an alarm clock. This is how I say this to my patients and clients, that it's embracing what that fear might be trying to sort of highlight. What is it? What else can I get from this? What is it that this is really trying to show me? And keeping that, the human spirit, which is so powerful, when you keep like an armor almost, gratitude, hope, courage, compassion for self, love, unconditional love for yourself, that is so incredibly powerful. That's like literally laser zapping fear out, because it changes the energy vibration. And what it does is it's almost like you're switching a light on. So I remember my daughter being absolutely shit scared at night when she was 4 or 5. She'd seen these shadows on the wall and she was convinced it was this monster coming out at her. And, you know, put the light on and literally put the light on. And what do we see? It's a shadow of the towels, which looked like a dinosaur. And I know that's really simplistic, but that is exactly what fear is. It's a shadow. Fucking put the light on. The light is gratitude, hope, love, compassion, courage, curiosity, and really see it for what it is. Challenge that, because there's always a flip side to whatever you think you're fearful of. What actually can I gain from this? There's always this. You can't have dark without light. There's always a dual response. And my final thing I wanted to share is fear. You can either forget everything and run, or you can face everything and rise. That's my final thing to say.
Mic drop.
That's it. You're not gonna say anything more. Nothing.
No, that's it.
There we
That's
go.
it.
Annie's
We've got loads more to say. I've got loads more to say. This is my thing. This is my jam. This is just everything I live and breathe.
Thank you for coming to Russ Reels.
Yeah, Annie added the punctuation mark right there. So, Mark, we're going to come back. We're going to come back to you, and in these last minutes, because we're going to have to wind down. But I'm just going to remind people that one of the best things that you can do is subscribe to Russ's YouTube page. And so I would request everyone right now, open up a separate tab, go to YouTube, follow Russ there, click the follow, click the little bell button so you get reminded. And at those moments when you have to go, when you get called into the principal's office, whatever that principal's office is, and you know what that feeling is, right? You get that, it's that hot on your back, and you because you're so concerned. Come to Russ Reels and play some of these shows, because that will help you alleviate the fear and find the opportunities. Because I guarantee everybody that whatever we face, there is an opportunity in it.
Yes.
So
Definitely.
with that, we'll get some final words here. Mark, you are up first, and then we'll move over to Baron.
I'm going to tell a quick story, which I love to tell stories, because something's happening with it tonight. my sister has a daughter who's a special needs child, and she didn't know what to do with her, and was trying to find a place for her in the world. And so she started taking her to the park, and my niece, watched as the girls there and the boys were playing basketball. And so she told her mom, that's what I wanted to do. So my sister started talking to the person who was in charge of the basketball at the park, and got her started with basketball, even though she was very limited and very, she says a special needs kid. So what happened was my niece loved the game of basketball and was there every day and wanted to be at the park every day to learn because she loved it so much. And so this coach happened to be the coach, basketball coach at Hamilton High School, which is in Los Angeles. And so she said she wanted to, join the basketball team. And it was like, raised all these eyebrows. She ended up making the junior varsity basketball team and was the first special needs kid to make a major sport in the history of the school.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so a week ago Monday, they had senior night, and she was playing, which she didn't know at the time, she was playing her last junior varsity game. And she's been the leading scorer on her team. And that particular night, she scored 25 points.
Oh my gosh.
In a junior varsity game.
Wow.
And so after the game, they had a special ceremony because she was the only senior in either junior varsity or varsity. And so they decorated the whole gym with posters, and the dance team was there, and the cheerleading team was there, the boys basketball team, the boys volleyball team. The gym was packed because of her, because even though she's special needs, she's like the friendliest person at her school. And so I'm going to wind this up by saying she was interviewed, and she was on our local news channel, and they've been playing it all week.
Oh.
and showing films of her and overcoming. And she's now been elevated to the varsity, and she's been playing very well. But when the journey started, my sister had no idea about, what was going to happen. And she was scared because she didn't know, where her daughter was going to fit into the world. And it's turned out to be something truly amazing. And it's, the papers are all over it. In fact, they're playing a playoff game tonight in about an hour or two. So sometimes you just have to try things, have a little bit of faith,
Yes.
and just put yourself in there and go for it. And you wouldn't believe what kind of doors can open for you. And it's surprising, and it's beautiful, and and that's how you get these incredible stories of human triumph. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that, and thank you so much.
I just Mark, it's such a powerful story, right? If that was the only thing that came on Russ Reels today, absolutely fabulous and worth every moment. I'm stunned. I'm also grateful that I said that the next person to speak was Baron and not me, because I don't want to follow that up, but I do get to let Baron go next.
Well, I'm not sure I can follow it up, but what I do know is you have to learn how to turn tragedy into triumph.
Hmm.
And I think that, really what we've been talking about here, the fear and the opportunity. Life is full of tragedy. How do you turn tragedy into triumph? And, for my family, my sister's diagnosis came out of nowhere. We didn't see it coming. And we just wanted to do this little trail run together. It wasn't going to be a big deal, but 42 of my friends rallied around me to help her. And then when she flew home, she lived in Arizona, and I said, what you're doing to stay alive, we should share. And that was the essence of how Kicking Cancer started 5 years ago. Is we just said, what you're doing to stay alive, let's share that. Well, here we sit 5 years later. And initially we had one shirt. We had a pink shirt because she has breast cancer. But this Saturday we are opening a brick and mortar. We have a Kicking Cancer apparel store. We're creating an online way to sell. We have shirts in 34 states and 32 foreign countries. Mark, who I met through our website and sent me his story, which I shared that link. Mark has a great blue Kicking Cancer shirt. And so people that I would never in my wildest dreams have ever met. And then I meet Russ randomly at some networking thing. We become friends. And then he goes, guess what? Well, guys, the reason I'm wearing black today, Russ has skin cancer, and that's black. And so, the tragedy was my sister dealt with cancer. But the triumph is we have been able to support people throughout the whole world because this disease is horrible.
Hmm.
Did I follow up okay, Scott?
Oh man, I just tell you, it's just so remarkable. Not that you became Russ's friend, because that's easy for us. But the fact that you met, and as we say, there are no accidents, right?
Yes.
There is no accidents. Annie, you're up, then Bob, then Nupi.
Okay.
I couldn't agree with that more. I'm a firm believer that, in this life, we're given those tragedies, but we're not given anything more than we can handle, right? We are in this moment on this show for this reason, for this purpose, for this message, for this impact for others. So like the biggest message that I get from all of this, and maybe you guys can agree with me, is don't suffer in silence. Get up, get out. Don't let fear paralyze you. Get up, speak out. You have a voice. You are loved, right? You are seen. I love how that we've all kind of connected this way. I'm honored and privileged to know you all, hear your guys' stories, because even just that, I'm thinking, wow, these guys are so powerful and you guys are so amazing. I love that. So thank you guys for sharing your stories, because I love stories for one. But just don't suffer in silence. Let's get up. Let's make this what this life is meant to give us. Let's make the most of it, because that's all we have is time, right? Everyone's like, oh, how do I get more time back? And I'm like, it's not that you need to get time back. You need to get back in time, right? You need to get back in it, take back your life. So I love you guys.
Yeah, I will often talk about the 1440 Club. 1440 every day has 1,440 minutes. And as it turns out, there are no rollover minutes on your days.
No.
Right? You will use every one of those minutes. But it's how we choose to use those minutes, which is where we started. We really started, we get to choose. We get to decide.
Yeah. We do.
And Bob, you are up.
Yeah, so kind of in that same thread, right? Taking opportunities is also just recognize create your priority list, and then be honest with things that aren't a priority, and be okay with that too. And I think that's actually, to me, sometimes more important. It's not to say I don't want to prioritize things, but also when things come, when someone said, "Oh, you didn't do this," and I just kind of said, right now, because it's not a priority for me right now, and that's okay. But I also know that I don't want to spend my mind. We're talking about things I can't control. Well, I can control that it's not a priority because I have these things over here but then taking advantage of that time to make sure that I concentrate on things that I feel that are important or I need to concentrate on, and give them my all, right? Give them my attention that they deserve. So be in that moment and take care of those things. Things that aren't a priority, just put them aside, but be honest about it. Don't be like, oh, I hate when people say, I don't have time to do it. I never say it to somebody. I never say I don't have time. I just say, not a priority for me right now. I can't do it a priority right now. And that's okay. But I'd rather be honest with them than be like, oh, I'm busy. We're all busy.
That's always been one of my pet peeves, right? When someone calls the office and they go, is Annie busy? It's like, no, she's just sitting around drinking coffee, waiting for someone to call, right? It's like, absolutely. Of course she's busy. But anyway, Dr. Nupi Arora, the glitter practitioner, you get to have the last words before we sign off for this show. And I'm going to throw this, let me just throw this back up for a moment. Annie Lee, Dr. Nupi Arora, Baron Robison, Bob Feathers, Mark Kageyama. The stories today, the impact has been surprising and remarkable. And I just want to say thank you to Russ for trusting me to come in to his show today. And I'm so grateful that he was making the right decision to spend time with his wife, to take care of her. Absolutely the right decision. He is leading by example. And for those of you who haven't had the opportunity, he is the wise man that said, if you're befuddled, live the life you choose. And so, Dr. Nupi, take us out.
Oh, gosh. I would say, well, first of all, today has been incredible. The stories, Mark, you shared, Baron, and just all of us being here together, it has truly been just beautiful, is what I would say. And you can feel through the screen, even though we're like zillions of miles apart, you can feel that energy. And I want to bring this back to remember your needs matter. Own your needs, protect them, and really, truly believe that, you know what, when you are shifting a perspective from an energy vibration of love, hope, gratitude, joy, you know what, you become limitless in your potential. And your health is everything. Absolutely. Without your health, you can't work, you can't do anything. And you can always flip things around. And, the Mark, you're living proof of this. Baron, you too. We all are in our own ways. And yeah, I just want to leave that, because if that helps one person who might be listening today and go, oh gosh, that sounds like I can do this now, then brilliant. It's the whole point of talking and sharing this. So thank you, Russ, for having me on the show tonight. And thank you, Scott. You've done a fabulous job. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. It's been beautiful to be a part of this today. It really has. So thanks.
All right. Wave goodbye. We're going to sign out.
Bye.
Stay in the green room, of course. We'll chat.